It started with an email. The electric car was back from the dead. The car companies had lied to us before. Should we believe them? The only way to find out was to go behind enemy lines. For 3 years, we got access to some of the world's most secretive car makers. Let's start with the biggest and baddest of them all, General Motors. Over the last century, GM has churned out over 400 million gas-burning cars and trucks. In the 1990s, they introduced us to the joys of the 10-mile-per-gallon Hummer and the Escalade. But they also tried something truly revolutionary, the EV1, the world's first modern electric car. It was fast, sleek, and powered only by electricity.
First of all, it was the coolest car I ever had. I was taking care of the planet. I wasn't gunking up the air. It was a fantastic ride. It was fast. I'd be zipping along, man, 70, 80 miles an hour, you know, just feeling like $1 million.
But GM lost faith. They rounded up the cars as drivers protested. Then they crushed them and left them for dead. GM's chief executive, Rick Wagoner, later called it his biggest mistake.
When they took the EV1 away, I went into a depression. I felt like really sad because in the long run, you look back at it, they made a deal. Somebody made a deal to kill the electric car. And, it would have been a cool thing to have, and I still would have been driving it now.
GM got a lot of bad publicity for the EV1, but here's where we are now. There's not only a business case for electric cars, there is a compelling business case. There is an inevitability to this technology. It has come so far, so fast, at a time when gasoline and the politics of oil have become increasingly problematic.
I think that when gas prices were high, there was a degree of excitement around electric vehicles that we hadn't seen before.
I'm sick and tired of worrying about gas prices every 6 months. I'm sick and tired of these failed wars in the Middle East. I'm sick and tired of breathing the air that we're breathing. We have the technology. We have the know-how. We are innovative. Let's act like it.
I do not believe this is a problem that is going to be resolved by regulators and bureaucrats. This is a problem that's going to be solved by engineers, innovators, and entrepreneurs.
Sometimes change starts with the most unlikely people.
All right, Bob.
Pretty good, thanks. Can't complain. Business is lousy, but other than that, everything's fine.
Found out what cigars you like.
Oh, yes.
This guy sure doesn't look like a radical.
Never one to turn down a bribe. And where's the brandy snifter?
Meet Bob Lutz, Mr. Horsepower.
We wouldn't be doing this in California.
Bob is vice chairman of General Motors and their media frontman.
Yeah, right there. Eyes are perfect. Chin up a little bit. We need to kind of make you look badass. So
Fat ass.
bad.
Bad. Okay.
One of the guys who was blamed for killing off the EV1.
Great. You own fighter jets.
Everybody thinks, whoa, that must cost a lot of money. Actually, they're fairly cheap.
Bob Lutz is a giant of a man. Like, he's larger than life. I mean,
Bob's been a car guy all his life. He's been vice president of Ford and BMW and president of Chrysler. Ever heard of the 3 Series? The Viper? The Ford Explorer? That's Bob.
he has a brilliant mind. He has a brilliant brain when it comes to what an automotive enthusiast wants.
In 2003, 2004, you could not find a person who was more dismissive of electric vehicle technology than Bob Lutz. He thought that there was no business case for it. He thought the people who supported it were lunatics. He did not, and probably still doesn't believe in global warming. Then I think something happened to Bob Lutz. I think he began to see some sort of light.
Well, I do consider myself an environmentalist, and but within reason. In other words, I still realize the benefits of modern automotive transportation. On the other hand, the flood of emails that I got saying, "You rotten SOB, you sold out to the oil companies and you've killed my grandchildren. I hope you rot in hell."
No one likes to be remembered as an evil or bad person, and certainly he's enough of an egomaniac that that would sting.
We were discussing how Toyota was running away with the technological image and the environmental image and so forth, and I said, well, why don't we at least do an electric prototype? And this was met with a singular absence of enthusiasm on anybody's part because the company had lost so much money on EV1.
So Bob's electric car came to a screeching halt. But in a world far away from Detroit, the real rebellion was already underway. It's launch day for America's newest car company. Drawing inspiration from one of the 20th century's most revolutionary inventors, the father of AC electricity, Nikola Tesla.
It's a very momentous day for us. It is our first car, and of course it's a car belonging to our first customer, and that would be also our chairman, Elon Musk.
I'm ecstatic. This is fantastic. Awesome day. It feels like victory. This is the first production Roadster, and a huge day for the company. Tesla is going to put thousands of these cars on the road. But beyond that, really what matters is, are we making a difference in the world? And for us to make a difference in the world, we have to build a lot of cars. You know, until we see every car on the road being electric, you know, we will not stop.
Detroit is doing a lousy job making cars and making money. I mean, it's a disaster. So, you know, the idea that Silicon Valley could do a better job making cars, especially electric cars, is a very powerful one.
We've got Model 2 in development, which we're planning to unveil probably in the second quarter of this year, which is the electric sedan.
Elon's a career troublemaker. He's taken on the banks, the space industry, and now the car companies.
Okay, do you want me to drive it? All right. Sweet. That's pretty awesome.
For me, Elon Musk has always been not really so much a car guy as an entrepreneur. He's had lots of companies in the past. He sold PayPal to eBay.
I just look at what he's accomplished and I'm like, geez, I better start working harder because I'm not making those kind of accomplishments in my life.
It's just a giant kick in the balls to the people that said we couldn't do it and that commercial space doesn't work.
Elon Musk is about as close as you're going to get in real life to Tony Stark. And it shows you how one person can make a difference with a certain amount of smarts and inspiration to change the way people think.
Suddenly there was the Tesla announcement 200-mile range, 0 to 60 in 4-point-something seconds, 140-mile-an-hour top speed, 6,831 laptop batteries. And I basically said, well, now, wait a minute. I've accepted everybody's arguments of why we can't do this. But here's this small startup company in California, and they think that they can get all of these figures.
Elon's coup was just what Bob needed to drag GM back into the race. They weren't going to be shown up by a bunch of Silicon Valley upstarts.
It was a powerful argument. So whether Tesla is ever hugely successful or not, I'll always owe him a debt of gratitude for having kind of broken the ice.
Bob Lutz being a champion of electric cars is quite a switch from the Bob Lutz we used to know. He sold the board on the fact that this technology would leapfrog Toyota, which had been GM's nemesis.
The electric car was pushed all the way up the ladder by Lutz himself in a way that is very, very personal, a way that suggests he regards it as his legacy at the company.
It's now my great pleasure to present to you the production version of the Chevrolet Volt.
How did it feel driving in an electric car?
It felt great, Chris. I'm surprised you would ask.
Is the electric car back from the dead?
Well, you could argue was it ever dead, because I think people were, even after we recalled the EV1s, there were still electric vehicles out there. But I think it's back with a vengeance, and I would say the electrification of the automobile is a foregone conclusion.
As an analyst and a longtime journalist, I'm still cynical, because we'd seen a lot of concept cars that had gotten a hoopla at the auto shows and then faded and died.
Some people aren't going to wait around for corporations. Around the world, an underground movement is growing. These people are making their own electric cars, right here and right now.
I'm Gadget. Been living and working in this warehouse for 16 years, and then for the last couple of years I've been doing electric cars. What I do is I take a car and I change it from gas power to electric. It's a lot greener to take an existing car rather than making a new one from scratch. I've got a Triumph Spitfire, a GT6, and a 67 Camaro. My latest project is a 356 Porsche Speedster.
We got married, we're building our future together in this building, and
We just finished our prototype lithium-ion, over 120 miles of range.
finally we've got something real here. This is the future, you know, and it's attainable, and we can all have one.
I can't wait to drive this around and show it off to people.
There are thousands of gadgets out there. Together, they're a force which could potentially rival the big car companies.
It's a race. It's a total race, and we know where GM is in the race. Looks like it could be the winner in it, but we don't know what everybody else is up to.
Every revolution needs its Napoleon, its master strategist. The world's most formidable car mogul was about to enter the EV race. It was time to meet the Emperor.
There is no give in that man. There is no dream in that man. He's not a visionary. He is a capitalist. An enormously controlled, driven, desperately smart man who measures success, indeed life, by dollars and euros. Carlos Ghosn doesn't get up in the morning unless there's money in it. I recommend you go meet Carlos Ghosn and administer sodium pentothal. I want to know what this guy knows. I want to know how many chassis they're going to put this electric architecture into. How flexible is it? How much does it weigh? How scalable is it? I want to know exactly how they plan to make money.
Okay, so who is leading the meeting?
Yeah, just a quick recap on the progress we have made getting the conversation started in the global marketplace for Nissan on zero emissions and electric vehicles.
When people express doubts about electric car, I think we should not go very heavy on this. We should say, yeah, maybe there are some concerns, we're working on them, and say, why? I don't want to wake up competition. I don't want to wake up competition. Because the more we are progressing, we are investing in batteries, we are investing in cars. This takes a lot of time, a lot of money. They didn't start. So every day they don't start is a good day for us. Our big difference is it's affordable.
Yes.
And it's mass marketed. That means you're going to be able to find it in every country, at every dealership you want.
You know, the Japanese are famously averse to saying no directly. That is not Ghosn's problem. Look at how he made his reputation. He was the axeman at Nissan.
When Carlos Ghosn took over Nissan, Nissan was on its knees. It was almost out of business.
He made a reputation as being this sort of terribly, terribly deliberate, driven, unsentimental guy. You know, 5 years ago, Ghosn wasn't talking about electric cars. It's remarkable the transition that has happened in the past 5 or 6 years when not only have they decided to go into the EV market, they have based their whole company strategy on it.
Well, we knew Nissan was working on lithium-ion batteries, and they have been working on them for many years. But I think it came as quite a surprise when Mr. Ghosn announced their very aggressive strategy in electric cars.
We didn't have truth serum, but we did have access and inside intelligence. Carlos was going to outflank his rivals with the Leaf, a pure electric car with a 100-mile range, priced for the widest possible market.
I don't think, frankly, that we are betting anything. It's not a bet in the sense that I don't know what are the odds, because I'm very confident about what's coming. What I don't know is how fast it's going to come. Somebody asked me the question, what do you think about the theory that global warming is not a problem, etc.? I say, that's not the issue. No matter how much I am convinced that global warming is an issue or is not an issue, that's not the plan. The public is expecting this from us. It's expecting this from us. It's expecting that car manufacturers step up and present technology in order to respond to these concerns. We think it's going to be a huge return for the company, huge return. We're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to manage it. It's going to change the face of the company. It's going to change the face of the brand. And it's going to change probably even the image of our industry. So what is at stake is huge.
Just as electric cars are starting to catch on, the economy collapses. Almost half of the world's financial wealth disappears, along with millions of jobs.
At that point, Lehman Brothers had collapsed. Credit had totally dried up. That shut off the valve of car sales. We didn't know how many car companies would exist, and including would there be any Americans among them.
GM is on the brink of bankruptcy. Will the electric car be another casualty of the recession? No one, it seems, can escape the turn of fate.
Can you show us inside?
Yeah, come on. This was our 100-plus mile range electric car.
Woke up around 5 with the smell of burning plastic.
And I thought to myself, I think there's a fire.
I came out. Smoke was so thick and heavy, I wasn't sure how big the fire was.
He came running back in and said, we've got to get out of here.
Called 911. They were here within 5 minutes. By then, flames were coming out the windows and out the roof.
Investigators say the fire was arson and started by vandals.
$250,000 of tools with no insurance. Was a Charger at one time. A couple controllers that might actually be repairable, maybe. So this one may not have had that much heat. That could be the one saving grace. Through all this, the light's still on, the controller's still good. That's incredible. With that, I can build a car.
Losing billions of dollars each month, GM and their Detroit rivals come to Washington, D.C. to ask for help. They arrive in corporate jets. Not the best way to plead poverty.
Well, do you know how they got down there?
Right.
On private jets.
Yeah.
What the hell?
They zoom in a private jet. What do you think the folks are going to say? Oh, yeah, let's give them more money.
We're here today because we made mistakes, which we're learning from, because some forces beyond our control have pushed us to the brink.
Can you just tell me in absolute terms, how much money do you need to survive? Give me your worst case scenario.
The worst case scenario, the amount of money would be significant. I mean, we have suppliers.
What is significant,
$4 or $5 billion every month.
My fear is that you're going to take this money and continue the same stupid decisions you've made for 25 years. I'm afraid we're going to do this. It'll be a short-term bailout, and you didn't get the message. Give us the cars that we want, that other companies have been able to give us.
People who say, who needs the American car companies? I don't care whether that Chevrolet dealer is down the street or not, and I don't care if the Dodge dealer goes away. I'll just continue buying Hondas or Toyotas or Nissans. We've already lost way too much of our manufacturing capability. We've offshored everything. The last major manufacturing industry that's left in the United States is the automobile industry, and to let that go away would be catastrophic for the U.S. economy. It would absolutely plunge us into a severe depression.
Investment world is all of a sudden sort of pulled back into their shell, if you will, in the fact that the money's just not available anymore. And they probably don't have it available to them, and thus it's not available to us. It's unfortunate. I think it's just part of the times right now. And I lost some friends that I worked with for many years, and that's too bad. But hopefully we can move on despite what has happened recently.
I got a message last week that if Roadster can't sustain the company by March, then that's it, and that scares me.
We need to get the company to cash flow positive in 6 to 9 months, or we're screwed. It's really pedal to the metal here. Each month that passes is literally costs us tens of millions of dollars. I mean, we need to appreciate that.
Tesla's gone through more than $100 million in 2 years and made just over 100 cars.
It wasn't until Zach and Doreen found the faults that we then realized that we had substandard parts on those cars, which quite frankly pissed me off.
I want names named. So if someone's always on the hot seat and is always the root cause for problems, they will not be part of this organization long term. It's not okay to be unhappy and part of this company. Right. And so if somebody can't get happy, get divorced.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly. Speak from personal experience.
All right.
There are all kinds of things being said about the Volt. A lot of questions about really how much mileage will it get. There have been rumors about spending a lot of time in the wind tunnel, changing the design. the battery having technical issues and really not being able to deliver on GM's promise.
So this is the latest
Almost the latest
that was
version.
done?
It looks like it's removable, so you think people would want to grab it and pull it. And the second thing is, think of all the dust and crud and cigar ash and everything that's going to get down around behind those cracks. I'm not the only cigar smoker in the world.
Yes, I was.
These things keep coming along from people outside the car business who have knowledge in some area and frankly have a tendency to treat the car business with disdain, because they say, yeah, but that's the old Rust Belt stuff, and they're still making these things in great big factories with a lot of workers. We believe in Moore's law, you know, and by applying the principles of electronics, we can really revolutionize this thing, and they all fall on their butts. I mean, without fail. And I hope the best for Tesla. You know, I like those guys, and I think we would all like to see successful production of electric vehicles, whether they're ours or somebody else's. But I think Elon Musk and the guys are learning what it means to put automobiles into production. Yep. It ain't easy.
Just headed to the Menlo store because I wanted to do a car-by-car walkthrough. I wanted to get basically a rundown of each car, what's its status and what are the issues. And I'm going to do this every week.
Well, this is one of the cars we rejected for...
Holy mackerel. Jesus. Yeah, like, we have like an army of cars here. Like, Jesus.
I'm looking like we're going to be able to deliver 4 cars to the sales team.
This is frightening.
What's going on here is the team has been doing a little bit of rework today. Remember I was talking to you earlier about the vehicle that had the noise, it had the transmission noise?
Yeah.
Points into that so you just kind of see the you can see
It looks
up
like
here
something
on the
got dragged
fenders.
over the surface.
Yeah, this one.
We should be inspecting it at this level. If it's getting scratches in shipment, then we need to get the, you know, either ding the shipping company or find some way to stop that, you know?
I agree.
Jesus, the breather hose is coming up that high?
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah.
Why? Are there any other resources we can apply to the problem? I mean,
Right now we're using...
I'd rather overhire for this situation. Like, God damn it, we got to get these cars out. Let's stock inventory. Let's repair chips here. I'm available 24/7 to help solve issues. Call me 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I don't care.
When I think about Carlos Ghosn and his approach to the EV market, I think of Sun Tzu, The Art of War, be where your enemy isn't. And so he has decided to build a 1 million vehicle market. They're talking about building, 150,000 EVs in North America in the next 3 years. This is a big strategic move. And if it fails, there will be no Carlos Ghosn, and there might not be a Nissan. That's how high the stakes are.
After years of planning, Carlos is ready to launch his $6 billion offensive. The only question, will his rivals get there first?
Honda entering in an EV market
with a kick-off. Okay. So they're all in the principle that small, which is good for us, that they stay in this niche. But this is the 1.2 million yen target. Where is the battery, in your opinion? Where is the battery here?
I have no idea.
I mean,
One place in the middle.
no, but is it possible here? Is it what, a round battery or something? We need to make sure we're not coming with something which is going to look prehistoric compared to that, because this is very futuristic. Huh?
Ultimately, Carlos Ghosn has to be the greatest salesman on earth and convince consumers across the globe that they should buy electric cars. Otherwise, the risk does not pay off.
Starting at what time?
It's starting at 9:50.
9:50.
But we're going to go straight right into the briefing right now.
maker.
The shortcut from the ongoing problem to the solution is a breakthrough. The solution is mass-marketed, zero-emission mobility on a global scale. Our environment is changing, and so is the way we are adapting to these new realities. Nissan is bringing an electric vehicle lineup designed for the mass market by offering environmental benefits at the price people can afford. Our technology is real, zero emissions, zero particles, zero noise, zero oil.
Well, after the fire, Charlotte and I were living on the bus for 2 months, and with the fire, it made me really look around, maybe open my eyes and see what else is available.
Thanks to a loan from family and friends, Gadget starts over.
This is the new building. The thing that I really like about this is that this is a disposable building. It's just a sheet metal shed. I'm going to build a new building inside of it, and as my building comes up, I'll slowly tear this one away. So it'll be sort of the old shedding away and the new coming up through it. The first thing I want to do is rebuild a Porsche. And if I can get this thing from LA to Palm Springs and prove I have over 100 miles of range, I've got a viable business. So very quickly, I need to put together some tools and get the car together, get it out, and then we'll be back in business.
Hold out and down. But with these ice caps melting down, with the transistor sound, and my Chevrolet Terraplane going round and round and round. Come a little cabaret.
Elon's becoming better known for feuds and firings than for making cars. And now, the company is out of money.
I mean, it's pretty hard fighting a two-front war in the middle of a Siberian winter. And both fronts are really freaking hard.
Between SpaceX and Tesla, Elon's burned through almost his entire PayPal fortune and is down to his last $3 million.
Just to keep Tesla alive, I had to wire $3 million personally with no guarantee of anything, basically wire the funds and say, use it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to make payroll.
To generate cash, Tesla raises prices on people still waiting for their cars. Even the true believers are starting to doubt.
I cannot understate the degree of grief that I've personally gone through and that many of other people at Tesla have gone through to make this work. When I say it was like eating glass, I mean glass sandwich every bloody day, okay? I wish we didn't have to raise prices. It sucks. I can't carry Tesla entirely by myself. It's just, I just don't have the resources to do it.
We took faith in you, and now you're just turning around and changing the price on us, not telling us, and then we find out about it backwards, and now we're kind of everyone's hurt because we weren't told.
We can't sell cars for you know, less than they cost us to produce. If anything more than that occurred, then it was an accident.
That's why there's a bunch of comments after it that all got
Okay. There seemed to be a little bit of anger from some people in the room who felt that we'd kind of done a bait and switch. And I mean, that's sort of a little bit true that there was a bit of a bait and switch. I mean, that's I mean, kind of what happened. It was very tough. I never thought I was someone who's capable of a nervous breakdown, but I think I came as close as I'll ever come on December 22nd. And then I think once you've snapped, you probably don't realize it because you've gone insane. and your ability to sort of look in the mirror psychologically is substantially impaired. Probably most insane people don't think they're insane. So, I don't know, it was just like, geez.
Elon's dream of taking on Detroit with a publicly traded car company is falling apart. Desperate for money, he's reportedly talking with big car companies and has applied for a $465 million loan from the Department of Energy.
I recognize that today's news carries a particular importance because it's not just any company we're talking about. It's GM. It's a company that's not only been a source of income, but a source of pride for generations of Americans. Earlier today, GM filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and will mark the end of an old GM and the beginning of a new GM. That's why our government will be making a significant additional investment of about $30 billion in GM. But I want to be honest with you. Building a leaner GM will come at a cost. More jobs will be lost. More plants will close. We are acting as reluctant shareholders because that is the only way to help GM succeed. And I want you to know that what you're doing is making a sacrifice for the next generation.
It's been extremely frustrating and disappointing. Since we moved in, we just haven't been able to move forward at all.
We've learned that the building has we knew it had pigeons, but it turns out the infestation goes back for years. So there's this airborne yeast and mites, which has affected me. I'm not really supposed to be here. I can't stay for long. I gotta wear a respirator. Turns out that all this paint that's peeling has got lead in it. The dust on the floor is toner because it was a business that recycled toner cartridges here. And they also did mercury bulb and battery disposal here. So none of this was disclosed, and apparently that's the dust that's on the floor. It's sort of a toxic waste in here, and people should not be inside.
So Gadget abandons his home and stops work on his electric car. Like Bob and Elon, he's discovered that revolutions don't come easy. With his competitors in disarray, Carlos dispatches the Leaf on a cross-country U.S. campaign. Will his vision of an affordable electric car survive, or will it perish under the long shadow of the gasoline car?
I think this definitely is Act 2 of the electric car saga.
Where you don't know if the hero's alive or dead. You're not even sure who the hero is anymore.
Yeah.
But you know that...
You saw his car drive off a cliff.
Right.
Was he in it?
Is he alive? Is he clinging to the cliff? I guess we'll have to tune into Act 3 to find out.
Tesla gets a $90 million lifeline from Daimler, but the DOE loan has still not come through. So Elon plays his last card. He launches the more affordable Model S, hoping to wow Washington and pull in fresh money to keep Tesla afloat. But behind the scenes, the Model S prototype isn't quite ready.
Somebody kick me that flashlight.
I really believe that the sedan is absolute vaporware. There is no way that Tesla has the cash on hand in order to be able to truly develop their own sedan.
Can you get a half-inch torque wrench, please?
They've got a prototype that they're going to show, and they're going to start taking deposits, which I find just an amazing act of God.
You can actually fit a 50-inch TV, a surfboard, and a mountain bike at the same time. Extremely good handling. You need a spatula to turn this thing over. Hope you consider buying one.
Okay, that
I think it'll be well suited,
Definitely. Perfect thing for Maria.
Oh, Elon's gonna lose his shirt. Yeah, Elon's gonna get crushed.
People said he'd never get the rocket in space. He did that. People said the Roadster would never get delivered. He did that. People said he'd never get 100 of them done. He's got 200 done.
I think it's ridiculous to criticize somebody who's actually creating a change.
As an entrepreneur, you can't listen to the noise. And you certainly can't listen to losers who have never accomplished anything with their life who are obsessing about you. Please.
I'd love to have an opportunity to walk around the event and see all the cars. You know, I don't actually pay close attention to what others are doing because I have so much to do at Tesla and SpaceX. That looks like very much a concept car. Sorry.
It's all right. Just chase us around.
Oh, hey. How are you doing?
Hi, Elon. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thanks. You enjoying the show?
Yeah. I just got here early this morning.
Where's your vehicle? Do you have it displayed?
Yeah. It's just that way.
Okay. So you're not in Electric Alley?
We're close.
Yeah. Well, we're not in Electric Alley either with the Volt. You had a look at the BYD?
No, I haven't actually had a look at anything yet. I've just been in meetings all morning.
There's some really strange stuff here in Electric Alley.
Oh, that's cute.
I'll tell you what, I'll go at it in my Corvette ZR1 and you can chase me down with this thing. But the Nissan Leaf, certainly, what do you think of that?
It sounds like it could be successful. I mean, it's, I think it seems like a good way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
They don't tell you very much. 100 miles per charge. Actual range may vary based on conditions, weather, and battery age.
Well, we're going to go for the groundbreaking of the facilities that are going to build the batteries and the electric cars for the United States. It's an important investment for us. We're talking about 200,000 battery a year and 150,000 car a year.
This has been described as the largest deployment of electric vehicles and charging infrastructure ever undertaken. I'm very proud that Tennessee is an integral part of this effort.
Everybody's going to come to the game when their electric car will be ready.
Do you feel like you're ahead of the game?
I don't feel, I am.
A few blocks from the hotel room, where Nikola Tesla died penniless 60 years earlier, Elon faces his final challenge, selling Tesla to Wall Street. The omens are not good. The NASDAQ is down 2% and falling.
Everybody's talking about one of the most hyped IPOs in recent memory. Tesla Motors. It sold 1,063 cars. I myself have sold 1,063 cars. You don't want to own this stock. You shouldn't even rent the darn thing.
Well, big losses on Wall Street today, as we've been reporting, and it's just the same for just about any U.S. stock, except one, Tesla Motors.
It is up. It priced above the range. It sold 20% more stock than it thought it would, and it is still up.
Shares of the electric car maker Tesla Motors are up.
The electric car maker surged to nearly 41%, the second best IPO gain of the year.
So this is a very big indicator to some, not to all, that Tesla is for real, a real car company that's going to usher in the future of cars. Of course, that message is electrification.
You know, for a while there, we had a lot of bloggers maintaining a Tesla death watch.
A day-by-day count of how long before Tesla would die.
It seems that they may be waiting for a while.
NASDAQ welcomes Elon Musk. June 29, 2020.
You know, sometimes success is the best revenge. GM's restructuring seems to be working. The company begins to pay back its government loan. Bob's plug-in Volt goes into production.
It's a thrill. It's a thrill. I just wish there were more of them. There we go. In goes the battery. Ultimately, every single car in the line will be a Volt. my own personal prognosis for Volt sales is way, way, way beyond what General Motors currently says.
Gentlemen, how are you? Well, good to see you. How are you? It's good to see that the line is very, very busy, huh?
Please sign my book for me. Thank you, Mr. Gowan. It's an honor to meet you.
On an all-electric vehicle, it makes me feel like I'm on the front end of something new, a new wave. I can look back years from now when it becomes popular. I can tell my kids, hey, we were one of the first that came up with the new electric vehicles. It'd be astounding to be able to tell them that years to come.
So the toast is to creating the greatest car company of the 21st century and making a real difference to the world and moving us off fucking oil as fast as possible.
What's needed for the real revenge of the electric car? Time. It's just a matter of time.
It is a lie of science fiction.
Right now, we have a dirty grid. But the cool thing about the electric car is that it's the only car in the world that gets cleaner over time. Because as we clean up the grid, and there's every indication we will, the more you clean up the grid, the cleaner your car gets. It's the only vehicle in the world that actually gets cleaner the longer you own it.
What we're proving in Israel is that we can actually put a system in place, an extension to the grid, that would get a country off oil.
I don't want to wait another 60, 70 years before we catch up to the reality that it's here now. These innovations are here. Bring them to me. I want to play.
And they're trying to get through. There's no single explanation, there's no central destination. But this long line of cars is trying to get through. And this long line of cars is all because of you. We don't wonder where we're going or remember where we've been. We've got to keep this traffic flowing and accept a little sin. So this long line of cars will never have an end. And this long line of cars keeps coming around the bend.